everyone. This is Donna Ghanney, and you're watching the Kingdom Hour. This is KEITV12, and I'm joined here with some wonderful guests who are going to share an app that can be used for children, and it's going to be able to provide your children with some Christian education as well. And they're going to tell you more about it. And we have with us Carol Ann and Jules. And would you like to tell the audience more about your app that you have for children?
Yes, go on then, Carol, you start.
My name is Carol Ann, and Jules and I met at school, so we've been lifelong friends, and that's very nice. How the app came about actually was that her daughter, when she was 6 years old, asked, "Mommy, would you write us something quick for our nativity play?" And so Jules says, "Oh my goodness, I've got to do this quick." And of course, Jules and her magic pen came up with this absolutely beautiful first carols for children. And there are 10 carols about the animals and how the animals felt in their own perspective as they were part of the birth of Jesus Christ in the manger.
Yeah.
This is the nativity play. And of course, she then took it to school. Her daughter, Sasha, took it to school, and they made a nativity play out of it. They sang all those carols, and everybody was delighted. And then afterwards, the little book was put aside. It was a little blue book. And then one day, my granddaughter comes along and wants to read the book, and I read it to her, and I sing her the carols. And then she didn't want to know about anything else. And then one day, you know, she said, "I want to see just that little blue book over there, Grandma. That's the one I want."
Awesome.
So it was so loved by her that I asked my good friend Jules, and I said, "Should we do something with this? Children love it so much, and it honors the animals. It honors Jesus Christ's birth in a different perspective. The animals haven't had their say. What did they feel like when they cradled the baby Jesus in their fur, in their arms? What did the donkey feel like when he was keeping the little baby's feet warm with his breath? And what did they feel like knowing that a king was born?" And because that was very important, that was very awesome. And so we've been very busy since then, Jules and I, building an app with 4 of the carols, which is, you know, it's a gyroscopic, it's 3D, and it's interactive, and of course, composing and arranging and building true music with full orchestration and choir and children's choir. So you take it on for me, Jules, the mission of the idea behind it was actually emphasized, the most important thing to emphasize, isn't it not, Jules?
Yes, well, so the idea really is to give the animals their own voice, and so that the animals tell their story of the nativity. And they tell the story of being excited to go there, and being the little lamb, for instance, is called by his shepherd to be our gift for all to see. So he's the gift to the little baby. And then he goes and curls around the baby in the crib and keeps him warm. And so the experience is how an animal would feel, how the little lamb and the donkey feels. And then the donkey, in the donkey carol, the donkey grows up and he carries, of course, as we know from the Bible, he carries the family away from the place they're born. And then he plays with the baby Jesus as he grows a little. And then later on, of course, he carries him back as a king, like when Jesus chose the donkey to go from Bethany to Jerusalem. What we call Palm Sunday, as it were, where everyone laid their palms down before the donkey and before Jesus. So we have really a donkey's life there, the donkey growing up, first of all, cradling the baby and then playing with the young boy. We have a wonderful artist who's Carol's nephew, which is very exciting. So it's all very homegrown, but he's an absolutely beautiful artist, and he has the donkey and the Jesus as a boy playing with each other in a sort of mix. I move my hands around because it's so vibrant, and then we see him carrying Jesus back as a king, and then we see him on the top of the mountain with all the sunlight coming in to celebrate it. So one of the points is that it's a moving experience. In both senses, it actually moves along, and we go with the animals as they go towards the nativity and as they come out of it. And we see that through the pictures, which change as the verses change of the songs. Mm-hmm. So that it's attempting to be a unified experience. And that's how you get the feeling that you imaginatively, you can become the animal, as imagination helps us into the other person, as it gives us compassion. We become the animals, and we become the participants at this wondrous scene. Mm-hmm. And that in itself, we feel is really important.
Okay, so it sounds like you kind of have a passion for animals, that you want, in all of this, like you want animals to be saved just as well as to get the word out about the nativity scene of Jesus Christ, and also to make it intriguing to the actual person that's using the app. So tell us, what would they experience when they are actually functioning in the app? Go ahead.
Well, we tried very hard to introduce to carols, which some of them we've been singing for so many years, and mm-hmm. some of them have become too popularized. So our idea was to have carols which are sort of half carols and half song. And to do that, we had to have a full orchestra and choir, and to make it really moving for mm-hmm. the children and for everybody. Why? Because our mission really is not only to honor the birth of Jesus, but all creation, to understand that this Jesus that was born came with a message. And he came, like Jules wrote so beautifully, that all births are a miracle. But this miracle of birth was the most wonderful of them all, because he comes with the message of love one another. Yes. And that all creation is valid, and that all living creatures are sacred, mm-hmm. and that you are holy and everyone is holy in this world together. Mm-hmm. And so therefore that included through the animals, and Jules' idea was to include the animals as children start off with their pets. It's the first contact that they have with another being, so as to speak, their dolls and their pets, to act them out and be with them, so as to speak. And to arrive to this point mm-hmm. where we can have a new consciousness, not only about the Christian message mm-hmm. that Jesus brought, but that it goes to the animals as well, and they honor each other and we honor them. We're all linked together. Mm-hmm. We're all in this world together, and this is actually, isn't that so, Jules? Am I speaking?
No, absolutely. Yes, that's wonderful, Carol. Yes. Mm-hmm. No, that's what we're trying to bring forward. Also, but it sounds very messianic, but it's also the way as little kids we talk to our teddy bears and our little rabbits and our guinea pigs and our dogs and cats, and we learn an incredible amount from them. I mean, they teach us things that we hardly know just by being who they are. And that's one of the ways that a child can feel at home in the world, especially those who it's more difficult to feel at home in the world than others. And I think it's no coincidence that when a child is troubled, often troubled children are, as it were, given to animals to help them, and they feel better because they have a rapport, and they're honored, and they honor the animal, and then it takes you out of yourself, and then what was troubling isn't troubling. But mainly it is that our animals deserve our respect from us and our love, just as everything else on earth does. William Blake has this wonderful phrase, "Everything living is holy," which I've put in one of the carols, because it's just a wonderful way of feeling through the universe.
Okay. So let's talk about again, you know, like if I'm using the app right now, what would happen for me? If I'm using it right now, what would I be doing?
Well, you hopefully it isn't that difficult, especially if you're used to apps, which I have to say neither of us were to begin with. But at any rate, this is what the video that the Discovery program showed. It's obviously it looks like that, and you press the button of the particular animal carol. There's 4 of them there at the moment, and you just press it, and then it starts. And then you start with a song, and as Carol said, there is the language is underneath. It's in several languages, not just English, Spanish, and
okay,
French,
great,
and German and something else.
French.
But so it doesn't have to be limited in that way. And at any rate, of course, in one sense, it helps you to learn to read if you want to read, or you can ignore it completely. You can turn it off. You don't have to have the language. But if you want it, it has a place to go in for. And so then you would listen to it, and then it lasts a few minutes, and then
it starts with the Lamb Carol. And of course, the Lamb Carol says, "I was a little lamb sitting by my mother when an angel came to earth, telling of his wondrous birth. So we all said to one another, 'Let us go, let us go, let us go.'" And that's the whole point of these lambs, are just jumping the fence and going down the hill excitedly to go and see this little baby that's born. And so they all went, so the shepherd said, and got his troop to everybody's rushing to go. And this is what we wanted to do, isn't it, Jules? We wanted to a little bit to bring back also the excitement of the nativity, you know? And all these children be excited. I mean, this app, the last song is the Belle song. So it starts off with the beautiful bells of Chartres Cathedral, but it says, "Ring the bells for Christmas Day." So they're all going into the manger, but they're not just walking in. They're dancing in, they're break dancing in, the children are somersaulting in, you know.
Bells.
So it's very lifting and very exciting, you know.
Yes,
to go.
yes,
really.
I know earlier when we were talking, you mentioned something about if you touch a bell, what happens again?
Oh yeah, well,
in the app, if you touch a bell, which in the illustration of all the people going into the manger, led by the angel and the camels and all the people and the children dancing and the mice and the cats and the dogs and they're all they're all carrying bells, you see. So if you tap with your finger on the screen and you tap onto a bell on the screen of your app, all the bells will be tumbling down, and whilst the song is playing, and it's a very happy song. It's everybody's going into the manger.
It sounds exciting, and you know,
yes,
really, I'm sure that a lot of children are going to love it, and it's going to be passionate, especially for a child who wants to learn and understand about the nativity scene.
Yes.
Also, I think it's going to be kind of therapeutic, as you said, you know, with having the animals off in there for the children that may be going through their various situations or problems in their life. We have so many children that are facing traumatic events now, and they need something to excite them, something to relieve the thought of that pain or whatever they have experienced out, you know. And I think this would be a great gift for homeless children as well.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, it would be lovely.
We love the idea of a pageant also because, you know, children can put on a pageant so simply, just dress up and and then just have a little manger. Very simply, and download the app and put it on a loudspeaker, and everybody sing. And actually, in the website, there is also for more sophisticated. There is sheet music for a full orchestra, as well as sheet music for just vocal and a piano, which you can download and then make copies, and any choir can sing the actual songs, the actual carols. And we were hoping that the schools would would come back the fashion, let's put it that way, of putting on more and more and more pageants. Because children just love that. We all know, and somehow it went out of fashion, did it not, you know? And I think it's a shame. I actually think they should have a pageant in Rockefeller Center, to tell you the truth.
Oh, that would be lovely. A lovely place to have it at. I've been there. It's a lovely place. Yeah. So that would be nice.
There's another carol. The other carols are rocking the cradle, because don't they say that the hands that rocks the cradle rules the world? So the rocking the cradle, which has been done since the beginning of time.
That's not on this, but when we expand the app, that would be in it. Or we're making a CD as well later, when that would have the other carols in it, because there's about 10 more than the ones that we put in the first app.
Okay.
We haven't told you about, there's one called the Clay Birds Carol, which is actually it's a very early Gnostic text from 1st century AD. It's called the Infancy Gospel of Thomas. It's one of the ones that wasn't included in the Bible as we have it, but it's around rather like the Gospel of Thomas, and it's amazingly lovely. And it says Jesus took some clay and he made it into a bird, and other animals made it into a bird, and it flew away. And so I made a little carol of this, that he takes with his hands, he takes the clay, and then the birds fly away, and then they go off into the wood, and they find lots of other birds there, and they say, and the other birds say, well, he made us too. So it's all, and it ends with a lovely celebration of real songs of birds especially from Brazil, and so it's a very joyous song. That it's slightly different from the normal carol, as it were, but it's about Jesus as a boy, as given in a very early text.
Okay.
Called the Clay Birds Carol.
Yeah, that's in the app. And then outside of the app, coming up the CD, we have a beautiful one, and it's the ox, and with the bass singing, and the ox's job was to cover the crib, so he was in the manger. And then we have also other animals. We have the dolphins, and we have the birds, because we have the birds in the sky and the fish in the sea, so we have the dolphins. And we have a magnificent carol called the Camels Carol, which talks about how the camels feel carrying the kings. It's not so much the story of the kings, rather it's the story of the camels who are following that star, and they're going and going and never getting there. Just like children when they go in the car.
Are we there yet?
When are we going to get there, you know? And then they look into the manger and say, there's a manger lit within. There's a baby, he looks like a king. And so they bow down, and the kings bow down. And it's all very, very awesome and magnificent. And children love that, you know, the camels bowing down. And that's a very lovely one. And then there's the Star Carol, which actually is the last carol in this CD. And it starts with the nativity, with the intimacy of the nativity, the star shining down onto the baby Jesus. And then the baby Jesus then rises in the galaxies, and to explain that he made all this, God made all this, the galaxies as well, and which then comes back to Earth, and it is the song of the animals and songs of the earth and songs of the birds, and everybody joins in to make this song of earth, as then holy are we, holy are you, and holy is everyone too, because Jesus made it so. So this is the last one, isn't it? We're still working on some of this to come out this Christmas, but I think that's the mission. But you tell her a little bit more about the ecology part of it, maybe, Jules, so the ecological part, so that people may have a little bit more respect.
I have in a way already, but I mean, it's just that our animals can take us, our feeling for animals can take us into the wider feeling of the earth as a whole, which is the point about the star, because it looks obviously down on the whole earth, as we have done from the moon. And we see that we don't care for our home very well in many cases, and that we could care a little more for our earth. But we won't care for our earth if we don't feel for it, if we can't imagine all the other little creatures that live there, on whom every little intricacy depends. We need the bees so that they pollinate the flowers, so that this, and the butterflies and the little insects, and at any rate they have a right to live on their own, not just for us, not just as a resource to serve us so we can get vegetables, but so that they can actually embody the sort of seed principle of creation. And it's that sort of feeling that obviously this is only a little sort of suggestion at the end of a carol. It's not a message, but it's just that you're there anyway. So let's celebrate creation. Let's celebrate the butterflies and the birds and the little animals. It's so you're simply saying, can we try a little bit to think from the perspective of the animals and from the perspective of the earth as a whole, and not just what it can do for us, but perhaps what we can do for it and them and all of them, because it's all of our home. And if we can,
very important.
Because if we say praise the Lord for all the creation, if we don't say to the children and teach them what creation
The
is.
value.
It's
Yeah.
just words to them, you know. So in making all this very intimate and very connected in this way, then the child, because it begins at childhood, but obviously for grown-ups too, will praise to the Lord who created all this for creation. We just might remember the little bee when we see him, or the little lamb when we see him, and our own pets, we treat them better, and the leaves and the trees and the soil and the ground and the water, and we have a different perspective on all this. This is of course, this is all born out of Jules's magic pen, like I call it, because she's the one who writes it up, and with the descriptions that she gives in different words than we're used to in every day. I think it's good that it's different words, because first it helps you remember, and helps children remember.
There's lots of rhymes. I mean, they're mostly rhyming, they're like nursery rhymes, really, and so and they're easy to sing. I mean, they were written. I did the poems and the music together to begin with, so that they were all one, and they're quite simple, because it's quite simple and traditional, the actual basis of the song. And then Carol took them over and did wonderful things with them, and added all sorts of effects, and seas and birds and winds and all sorts of wonderful harps. And then they became something else. But there's a sort of simple core to them, which is never lost, so that a child can relate to that happily enough and hum it and sing it. And it's like they are meant to be like poems to music, as it were.
Yeah.
Musical poems, as it were.
And with the repetition of the rhymes, you know, a lot of times the children will take away and remember it, because I remember, you know, different rhymes that we had when we were growing up. So that does make a big difference, and it is very, very important that not only just the children know, but the whole world know the importance of our earth, that the Lord created. He's being Elohim. He created the earth for us, that we will be able to exist in it and have dominion over it. But practicing dominion over it doesn't mean that we destroy it. It doesn't mean that we rule over it and rape the land to where there's no existence. It means that God created the earth for us to be able to live in it and be fruitful and multiply. If you subtract from something an existence, you're not multiplying it, you're taking away from it, and you're dividing off of it. So I hope this is a message to the body of Christ out there who may be listening and watching this video, that it is very important that we teach our children. And not only that, that we educate ourselves of the importance. If God created it, it is meant to be here. It is not meant to be destroyed. It does not mean to take away from it, you know.
Exactly.
We can be greedy and want to have all of these buildings and all of these structures, but when we take away from what God has put there, we're taking away from our life. We're taking away from the substance that He has given us to survive. We're destroying the waters that the fish live in. It's a time for us to wake up. We need to live, and God has created the harmony already. He has already given us the harmony. He has already given us the access to love, but it is up to us to put application to it and act on it and survive. So tell us more about how can the guests or any, how can in the audience, I'm sorry, how can they gain access to your applications? I do know that it was on the Discovery Channel, right? Would you like to talk about that a little bit?
Well, they were showing parts of it, and mainly trying to help people to know how to download it, since not everybody is very au fait with how to download an app. And there are many ways, like we have a website where we talk about the nativity, the story of the nativity, and we've got some wonderful pictures from Giotto and of animals. He does
and of course, my nephew Gilly, his pictures mixed up with other pictures selected by Jules, you know.
Anyway, yes, that's right. Lots of pictures all together. But you can, at the end of it, there is a store, a web store, and you can therefore click on the button, and it tells you how to download the app. Also, you can go to Google Play and Amazon and iTunes, is it? iPhone, any rate.
iTunes, yeah, okay.
iTunes.
iTunes App Store, okay, great.
Yeah, App Store, yeah. So you can get it on all three.
Yes, you can.
Whatever kind. It goes on a tablet and or a phone, but it doesn't go on a computer. Apparently apps don't, they're the wrong size. But at any rate, it's fine on a tablet. And then you can just, once it's there, you've downloaded it, it's very simple to play. Everything's terribly simple because we like it simple when it's technological. And so it should be quite easy to do.
Okay.
Yes.
They were trying to show that on Discovery, and also talk about how there weren't many apps like this.
Sure. I know.
An unusual way, although it seems,
yeah, that's very unusual.
no reason why it should be, really, because I mean the animals have always been there at the nativity, haven't they?
Yeah.
There's one particular image which everybody loves so much, which it simply doesn't exist, which is the lamb which is offered by the shepherd, and that's in the Bible, to the baby Jesus. In the app, in the pictures that Gilly drew, my nephew, he drew this a lamb holding the baby in his lap. So I don't think it exists at all, a little lamb holding the baby to keep him warm. And it is surely the most endearing thing. But like Jules said, you can go to the website, theanimalscarols.com, animals plural, carols plural, .com, and you come to the website. And in the website, you have a little bit about the app, how it works, how to download it, how to pay for it. You also have another part of giving more information about the Lamb's Carol, what it means, what it meant so long ago, the poets who have written stories of little lamb, who made thee, dost thou know who made
William
thee?
Blake.
William Blake said that. And then, of course, there's the donkey, the same thing, and the clay birds, and finally, the Belle Carol. There are only 4 carols in the app. But you can go to the shop. You can buy all the pictures if you want to, because they're very, very, very beautiful and quite different from anything that you will find anywhere. They are traditional. They are super glorious, you know, and you can buy MP3 of each carol if you happen to like one more than another, either to play it in your church or to listen, like my little grandchild. He's 3 years old. He can stay 3 hours listening to the Belle Carol. 3 hours. The Belle Carol over and over and over again. And then finally, it also says something about the author. It's a decent website. I hope it will be magnificent, because we have plans for more interaction, that children will be able to send pictures of themselves with their animals, you know.
Yeah. We'd love to have a little sort of communion, a little society there where people, little kids, could send the pictures of their pets or any animals that they really like, and we could have them all up together. And then we actually have another button which we're going to have, which is rescue animals, so that animals that have been rescued or need rescuing or need help, we'd have various societies that take care of animals, rescue animals. We've got a button for that too, so that we can just sort of have a general feeling for how we love animals and how sometimes some people don't, and we can help them.
And I think there's this beautiful poem by this friend of Jules, to all the children.
I've got it actually. So I thought you might like me to. Have you heard of Thomas Berry? He was a great friend of mine. He's dead now, but he just a few years back. He was a Passionist monk who spent his whole life to most of his life as a monk. Then he went to travel to China and India to teach. And he called himself then a geologian rather than a theologian, geo being earth. So he wanted to be an earth priest, really, while still being, a real priest, if you see what I mean. He baptizes and does everything. Anyway, he wrote this wonderful poem. I had to write this. There's a book dedicated to him, and I don't know, there's 2 poems. I wonder which you'd like best. Well, maybe I should tell this one. Well, I was going to give the other one, actually. But maybe if you like them, I'll do the both. It Takes a Universe, it's called. And you have to imagine this grizzly, wonderful, he was 90 when he wrote this. He had a great growly voice. He like an Old Testament prophet, although he was prophesying for Earth. The child awakens to a universe, the mind of the child to a world of wonder, imagination to a world of beauty, emotions to a world of intimacy. It takes a universe to make a child, both in outer form and inner spirit. It takes a universe to educate a child. It takes a universe to fulfill a child. And the first obligation of each generation to the next generation is to bring these 2 together so that the child is fulfilled in the universe and the universe is fulfilled in the child, while the stars ring out in the heavens. Isn't that lovely?
It's beautiful, yes. Very, very lovely. Yes, that's okay. Thomas Berry.
So for clarification to the audience, what would you say that he's meaning when he says the universe? Is he speaking of the nations, of people? Can you explain that?
I think he means the whole of the cosmos, like all the people in it, and all the earth and the planets.
All of the people, yeah.
The grass and the birds and the bees, everything in the universe. Okay. The whole of it, like we try and develop a capacity to understand the whole, which of course we can't, but we try and we can imagine it. And especially now that we've seen the Earth from the moon, we have a feeling of the Earth as a whole. But he means more than that, really. He means the whole sort of physical and spiritual universe, which were one for him. He saw them as one. And in other words, there's nothing really that we should ever think could be left out, I think is what he's really saying. It's just everything. It matters, really, how we are.
Okay.
This is what I think it's important here, because there are so many children, as Donna said, who are in distress and who are homeless. And I can't imagine, how difficult it is for them. I would like every one of them to have this app because, through the songs, and because feelings, sometimes you can't put them in words, especially children, but they can put them in song. And they sing it, or they dance it, or whichever expression they want to use of praise. Praise to God, or even those who are not Christian. But we're not excluding anyone who is not Christian, because we're all in this together. And it was Jesus who said, love one another. So it actually has to begin from us, you know, and then if the children can experience that they're part of a universe, they're not alone. They're not alone. They might feel alone sometimes, but God is with them. The universe is with them, and all that's in it is with them. I don't know. I know this is a very difficult thing, but it's got to start somewhere. And even, I mean, even myself, when I've been, I'm sure Jules will also say the same thing, building on this and making the songs and building on this, I have more, I wouldn't say appreciation, but I would say closeness, intimacy, love for animals and for my surroundings. As a matter of fact, I'm sort of like in awe all the time. Oh my God, this still exists. Given the fact that we've been so awful to absolutely everything around us, it's kind of a miracle that it's still existing, you know? You go to Central Park and you say, oh my goodness, it's still here, you know? And this is wonderful. That we can raise this consciousness and appreciate it and find, so the children are enriched by this as well. This is our mission. This is our mission. It's in the app, it's in the music, it's in the poetry, it's in all that we have suffered in the technical side. To get this message out there, you know. And it brings, as Jules, I would say also that in a Christian family or any family, to have an app or to sing the songs together. If you sing, a family who sings together stays together. Well, that's what they say. Anyway, they say a family who prays together stays together.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, from a kingdom of God perspective, we believe that that God is the ultimate source of everything. And with him being the creator, he has given us access to everything that we need to make us to be sustainable. And we, as the body of Christ or as Christians, have to harness it. We have to be able to solve the problems that are existing in the world, to where we are bringing destructive activity on the creation that God has given us. So how do we do that? I think we have to come up with solutions. We have to come up with things that are going to manifest the blessings that the Lord has for us in his creation. And we have to sit back and think about, what are we doing to the world? What are we doing to the world now? I believe this app will help children, especially, again, children, to understand the nativity of Jesus Christ, his birth. And I believe it will also give them the opportunity to learn the importance of the value of what God has given us. The animals, the birds in the sea. I mean, it was some of his very first creations. He talks about the birds in the air. He talks about the animals that are in the sea. He talks about the animals that are on the land. What are we doing with those now? Are we destroying the land that they exist in? Are we destroying the air? Are we destroying the water? What are we doing? We have to stop and we have to look at that. And we also have to teach our children In my age and my time, we grew up with a sound understanding of not destroying the land, and being able to watch things grow. You know, you won't want to see anything destroyed. There are areas in the major cities where children don't even have access to animals. They don't have access to, you know, seeing, even birds are not really around because there's no trees for them to nest in.
Yes.
They don't even know where a tomato comes from except from a grocery store.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be that way. They should know what it is for tomatoes to grow, or the food that they're eating. They should know where it comes from. And the school systems, we have to make changes. We have to teach, we have to educate our children. And every tool that is available to bring that about, I think we have to make access of it, and we have to utilize it.
Absolutely.
Above all, the most important part is that they know that God is the one who created this earth. God is the one that gave them access to having everything that we have here. And if we destroy it, what are we doing? What are we saying to God? So that's what I would like to say to you in this Kingdom Hour. And I would like to invite Jules. First, can you please share your final words that you would like to share with our audience at this time? Okay, how about Carol Ann? I believe we're having some technical difficulties.
I really keep going over and over since I've been doing this, because I've been educating myself as well, and more so. And I love your words that you've just uttered now, because it's exactly what we have engaged ourselves in doing. Not only making a CD and an app to make money and things like that, which of course would be very nice, but it is in our hearts. It is, we do want other people to be more conscious about our world and not destroy it, and so that we have it for our grandchildren. And the word that comes to me all the time is that we've got to realize that we are holy, and that you are holy too, and that the animals are holy, and that the trees are holy, that the soil is holy, because God made them all. But you've got to really feel it. Don't do bad things to yourself, because you're holy. Don't do bad things to other people, because they are holy. Don't do bad things to the earth, because it is holy. And we are in this together. We live together. That's what I like to think every day. So, you know, this gives us great motivation, strength, and joy.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
Hello. I don't, it stopped.
That's okay. We're technology. Okay.
Technology.
So welcome back, Jules. Would you like to share your final words with the audience?
Well, actually, I just found this, which I thought I don't know if you can see it, can you? It's that we've been going on about Gilly's pictures.
If you bring it up a little bit, maybe now we can see it. Okay.
I just thought you might like to see, that's the mother lamb and the little lamb.
Okay. Can you bring it up just a slight bit more?
A bit more like that?
Okay, there you go. Now we can see it.
Isn't that nice?
Yes. It is nice.
Well, I'd just like to say it would be wonderful to think that a lot of happy little kids are singing along to the carols, just in their own way, and just feeling at home with the idea of a little lamb having its own voice, her own voice, and a donkey, and even birds, and and that would be, and singing and dancing, because it is a celebration, of course, at the same time, and more widely that they could feel for those things that you were saying, that we are responsible for our home, and we have to ask ourselves all the time, are we doing what we should be doing by it? And perhaps the best, one very good way is to start exactly where you are, so that even if you just have a windowsill, you could put a tomato on it, for example. Like you were saying, we don't know where tomatoes come from. Well, none of us did once, and some don't now. But you can always have a little window box, for instance, and you can just sort of take care of the animals that you see and the birds that you see, so that we try and make more connections and try with the animal and plant and insect life. Because if we feel it from the view of the whole, then they belong to us as we belong to them. As you say, any diminishment in them is a diminishment in us as well. And we are responsible, ultimately, because we've been given a trust just by being born, you could say, into the world. So I would like to, but I would like that, but I'd like to think of them being happy, singing the songs, dancing and playing away.
Okay, so Body of Christ, you've been watching the Kingdom Hour with Reverend Dr. Donna Ghanney, and you've been also listening to Carol Ann and Jules, and they've been sharing on their app. And can you state the web address again, Carol Ann, as to where they can go to find?
It's theanimalscarols.com. Animals plural and carols plural. Of course, a lot of people don't know that carol it means song of joy. That's why you sing Christmas carols. I just want to clarify that because it makes it easier to remember. So these are the songs of joy from the animals. Theanimalscarols.com is the website, or you can Google it and you can download the app, which is the Animals Carols app.
Okay. And I invite you to know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, and also to remember that He is Lord of Lords and He is Kings and King of Kings, and there is none like unto Him. And He has something for you, and connect with Him, and He will show you the way. He will show you the truth and the life. And just go back to Genesis and start reading again and see what God's original intention was for man, and follow it, because He loves you. If you go to John chapter 15, He will tell you about attaching to the vine, that you will live. Once you start drinking from His vine, you have no choice but to live, and He will never leave you nor forsake you, and He will guide you in all your ways. I want to thank all of you for being a part of the Kingdom Hour, and we hope that you will subscribe with us, and look forward to seeing you again on the next Kingdom Hour. God bless everyone.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you.
Thank you too.